All right. Thank you, teams, for showing us your wonderful projects. We are about to get started. If the first team up can stay upstairs, and if everyone can make their way back to their seats, that would be terrific. Thank you so much. Okay, so if all the teams, can you go, you're gonna go back to the other room, the green room. Okay, students, please leave your projects where they are and you can make your way back downstairs. Thank you so much. You tell me.
Test, test, test. Test, test.
That's fine. Yeah.
Awesome. Good luck, students. We can't wait to see you. Come on back up in just a little bit. They're gonna. Yeah, you're welcome to leave it. That sounds good. If you could move it right over there near that big screen TV, that'd be amazing. Thank you. Oh, great. Right, it's pretty loud. So you should be okay.
All right, now before we meet our judges and hear the pitches, let me give you some logistics. This is about a 3-hour event. When pitches begin, each team of students will present a 5-minute pitch, and then we'll have 4 minutes to speak with the panelists and answer questions. At the end of the event, the judges will deliberate. We will hear a keynote, and 3 teams will be awarded cash prizes. All right, let's meet our panelists. Our first panelist is Mike Cahill, Chief Technology Officer of the parent company of Zelle, Early Warning. Mike, put you on the spot here. In a quick sentence, what are you most excited about seeing from our students today?
I want to see what they've come up with.
What they've come up with.
Yeah, I mean,
awesome.
I've said this before at these events, but the kids are not limited by the laws of physics, right? So stuff that we would normally dismiss out of hand because of the excitement, and ingenuity and kind of lack of experience and all the failures we all go through over the years. Like it's all very, very innovative and fresh. So very excited to see.
Thank you. That's great. Our second panelist is Anna Consani, Head of Community with Goodwater Capital. Can you give us your? Oh, sorry. Okay. What are you most excited about seeing?
Yeah, I think it's so exciting that the teams are from all over. I think getting yourself out of your community and your bubble and you're seeing other students working on similar things to you, I think it's very inspiring and puts in perspective that if you can have your hobbies and be in your bubble day to day, especially in high school, but to see it on a larger scale and see the potential of who you could potentially be working with down the road. I did this in politics when I was in high school and we came up with assembly bills, same thing in innovation. And it just opens your mind with all the possibilities of things you can do for life and how to apply your skills. So excited to see that.
Thank you. Our third panelist is Adam Levinson. There we go. Adam is head of data strategy at Goodwater Capital. And what are you most excited about?
I'm really excited.
Thank you. And our fourth panelist, Amy Shamel, Vice President, Talent at Atwater Capital. Amy, what are you excited about? Now that you've met our panelists, it's time for the main event. Each team will have 5 minutes to pitch and 4 minutes for questions from our panelists. A quick reminder to our amazing student teams. Before we begin, you've done the hard work. You've identified the problem that you're going to solve. You've designed and redesigned and prototyped and redesigned and built circuit boards and so much more. Now's your time to celebrate all of that hard work, to show off what you've done, to advocate for your invention, to learn and grow with some of the best professionals out there. So take a deep breath, shake off the nerves, and have fun with this. All right, here we go. Our first team is Vector from Santa Clara High School in Santa Clara, California, using magnitude and direction to provide impact and perception.
All right, so hi, we're Team Vector, and I'm Karan.
I'm Anjali.
I'm Sarika.
I'm Soham. I'm Sam. And I'm Oakland.
Okay, so our community partner is Neeraj Gupta. He is a great guy who loves going on walks with his wife, playing frisbee and catch, and most importantly, he works at the Vista Learning Center for the Blind and Visually Impaired, empowering individuals who are blind and visually impaired to embrace their beautiful lives. So Neeraj has retinitis pigmentosa. This is an eye disease that causes cells in the retina to break down over time, and this often causes him to have difficulty seeing in poor lighting, his peripherals, and fine print. Well, I'm sure we've all experienced arriving at a new place and not knowing where to go or how to get in. Well, this problem is enlarged for Neeraj, as he expressed to us that he can arrive using his GPS location, but he has difficulties navigating a new environment or getting around or even finding the front door.
So introducing the Vector Vision app. The Vector Vision app detects the crucial objects in the user's surroundings using OpenCV on the camera. It works by splitting up the camera view into 3 sections, left, right, and center. It then buzzes the respective haptic motors so that the user knows where the object is in its location. It has a battery life of 6 to 8 hours running continuously, but in daily use, it has a battery life of 48 to 64 hours. We met with Neeraj many times and implemented his feedback into our product to make it better throughout the prototyping process. A few key pinpoints that we fixed with his feedback were device placement, as he prefers a cap, as well as audio output with the speaker and implementing it and eventually going to a bone conductor, as well as directional output with the haptic motors. One of the main features that we implemented and that he really liked when he demoed it was the tactile sense of the button to switch modes, which in other competitors is more voice command, and that kind of fails during loud environments. So here's our hardware schematic detailing the components used in our prototype V1, and our final dimensions are 5 by 7 by 11 inches wide when situated on the hat. And here's, go back. And here's the cost breakdown of our prototype V1, and total cost is $99.
When building our device, we looked at the competitors that existed in the market and decided to target 3 main criteria, being battery, price, as well as size. Now, the main difference between our hat and the existing solutions to this problem is that not only is our device able to recognize objects, but it's also able to provide the user with the specific location of these crucial objects in their environment.
So while talking with Niraj, we realized that different people have different preferences. Some people prefer it on the hat, while other people prefer it as a lanyard or even on the wrist or as a wearable. We realized that the components were naturally the same and that just the outer encasing would have to be different, which is why in the future, we want to move towards a CAD that can have different orientations because the camera would be differently oriented.
Now, judges, with your help, we can bring our product to the next level. In the future, we aim to price our product at $150, splitting up the revenue into 4 categories. These categories are marketing, manufacturing, material costs, and profit. So in the future, for hardware, we aim to use a smaller camera to decrease delay time, to use a smaller and more efficient battery to decrease the size of the hat, and to switch to bone conductors, which sends the audio directly to the user instead of having it play out loud, and also makes audio feedback more discreet.
As for the software aspect, we plan to expand the modes of object detection to more crucial objects. And one example is bathroom signs, which he talked about and we plan to implement in the future. Additionally, we plan to decrease the lag time, which is a major point that we can improve on. And we plan to do that by going from a Docker container to running it, instead of running it in an external container, which takes extra time, and that'll make it less laggy. Throughout the process, failures and successes included, we had fun and used Niraj's feedback to make sure that we could work towards the best product that we can provide. In the future, we believe we can impact more people by expanding it to different locations. Judge, thank you. Judges, if you'd like to try it out, we have a situation where you can wear the hat and you can detect the chair if you want to. And we also have a video of Niraj trying out our prototype. Thank you.
Testing. Okay. You have a question?
No, you start.
Okay. This is awesome. I would love to hear about critical points of failure and changing direction.
Okay, Owen, would you like to take that?
Yeah, sure. So I can talk about the software aspect where we had to go through different models, and we had to try different approaches because there's a bunch out there like PyTorch or TensorFlow, and not all kind of works. And we had to go through, we went from PyTorch to TensorFlow, and now we're using OpenCV while running it on a Docker container and exporting it. Our model is in the cloud, so it kind of pulls it in. There was a bunch of failures. We actually got it working fully with all the modes last week, and we tested with him and he liked it. So, and then we got it to work. I guess you guys want to talk about the hardware.
So hardware, you can see in these pictures how the different changes we made all throughout our device, right? We started pretty ambitious with just the speaker, the camera, and the Raspberry Pi. And from the get-go, we realized that all these components are way too big, right? And we kept going. We thought we could implement more haptic motors. We had 4 to begin with, but we ran into struggles with having a motor board that was overheating. So we had to decrease the components entirely, right? So what we have right now is the most basic and best functioning model that we've come to have after constant reiteration. And in the future, we're hoping to decrease the size of all these components so that our device is the best it can be for our user.
Nice. Okay, real quick. What was your biggest surprise or thing that you learned throughout the process?
So I think through testing with our community partner, we definitely learned a bunch of things like what he preferred, what he liked, what he didn't like. And I feel like that really helped us go through the different phases of creating our device as well. And we also had to use a hat that he liked as well. So a baseball hat, which what he preferred. And he also told us that not everyone would prefer a hat as well, is what he's tailored to him. And so just like they were saying before, I feel like we could also implement a CAD that could be removable and move to different devices like a wearable or a lanyard.
Yeah, so I'd like to add on that initially we approached with just a speaker, and he said that he would like some like verbal showing like where the object is, and that's why we implemented the haptic motor to like tell him where it is without having it say it out loud, such that like if he's in public spaces, that's kind of embarrassing for him. So we implemented that, and that's why right now we do have the speaker, but we're moving towards a bone conductor, where only he can hear the, when you change the mode to chair, bus, door, only he can hear that. So it's more.
And then I think like another takeaway, besides the hardware and software constant reiteration, the biggest thing we learned as a group, I think, is after constantly talking to Neeraj, and I think this is something that Project Cement pushes in general, is really understanding what the needs of your community partner are, the empathy that we have to build to understand what the needs are and not to assume like certain problems that they may be facing. So learning, that was a big thing to learn, to like not just picture Neeraj and actually like ask him what exactly is the problems that he faces on a daily basis. What does he feel when he's walking into a new building, right? So that's another big like key takeaway we took from this project.
Yeah, I just remembered, yeah, it's making it more discreet for him. That's what he liked.
There was some mention around latency. I'm just curious, what is the current lag time and how does that compare to the two competitors that you shared on one of the slides?
So currently we have a 4-second to 5-second lag time. And the other competitors, I believe they don't have a lag time, but the difference is that ours actually tells like the user where they are in the environment, while those just say like ball or whatever the object you want. They don't really tell like where it is. So that's one of the major differences that Neeraj needed.
Thank you so much. Yeah. That was great. Thank you very much. Okay, our second pitch is from Uplift, from Da Vinci Charter Academy in Davis, California. The next level of laptop accessibility.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. We are Team Uplift. There we go. We are located at Da Vinci Charter Academy in Davis, California. So our mission as Team Uplift is to empower individuals with physical disabilities by providing innovative and accessible technology solutions that enhance daily lives and promote inclusivity. Adrian Labrador is our community partner. He was a 2021 graduate of Da Vinci Charter Academy and is currently a sophomore at Sac State University, where he's studying political science. Adrian wants to make a lasting impact on the world and it has a passion to help people. In his free time, Adrian enjoys watching anime, playing video games, and hanging out with friends.
Adrian has a disability known as arthrogryposis multiplex congenita. This can take many different forms, but in Adrian's situation, this means that he cannot have control in his arms and his legs because the joints are permanently bent. What he can move though is his neck, his hips, and his shoulders, and he uses these to grab his materials and do other things. You can see in that picture there, he is in a wheelchair. That is a special motorized wheelchair for Adrian so that he can actually get around by himself. And he uses his shoulder to get his hand on there and he's able to control it like that. And you can see the joystick right there. And then in order to use his laptop or his phone, he needs to have it up at a high environment so that he can lean over and use his nose or his tongue to actually control it. In the initial starts of the project, we spent a lot of time talking with Adrian, and we really wanted to focus on his life at school. During these conversations, he vented a lot of the frustrations he had about not being able to get work done. He said this to us: "It makes me go crazy knowing that I could be studying for his test, but I'm stuck looking at this tree in front of me." While arthrogryposis does affect Adrian's daily life, it is important to remember that Adrian is not alone. Arthrogryposis affects around 2.7 million people, all of whom are in a similar situation to Adrian. And that's why we at Team Uplift decided that we need to come up with a solution. Or actually, sorry, that leads us to the problem. The problem is that Adrian has limited accessibility. This, because he needs his laptop and it's in his backpack, he needs to have someone to pull it out for him and actually have it placed for him to use. And then at Sac State, there's not a lot of equitable environments for him to actually do that. So this all leads to a lack of independence at school and work and an inequitable environment. So when at school, he has two options to get work done. He either has to ask someone for help, get it out of his backpack and put it at a place to use, or he just has to wait until he gets home. And both of these can lead to a lot of wasted time. And that's why we wanted to come up with a solution.
So now you've heard the problem, but how exactly does our product Uplift tackle them? Well, firstly, we understand that with limited access to technology, it can create significant barriers for those with disabilities, preventing them from accessing education, employment, and other social opportunities. Just think about it for a moment. When's the last time any of you guys went a day at school, work, or even at home without accessing your laptop? It's been a long time for a lot of us, but that's exactly the reality that Adrian and many others have to face on a day-to-day basis. So that's why us as Team Uplift came up with a solution. So our solution makes it so Adrian can easily access his laptop with just the push of a button or the flick of a switch, which he already has on his wheelchair. When the switch is flicked, our laptop is projected out to the user's required distance from our user and then lifted up to our user's required height. With our solution, the user can now access their laptop independently, creating a sense of increasing a sense of autonomy, productivity, and social equity. So now Adrian and 2.7 million other people no longer have to ask or rely on other people to get their laptop in front of them because their laptop is exactly where they want it, when they want it, thanks to Uplift. Now, we could stand up here and talk to you about how Uplift does increase productivity or sense of social independence, but we all know that actions speak louder than words. That's why we are thrilled to demonstrate the real world benefits that Uplift has so you can see the difference for yourself. So we are proud to present to you Uplift. As you can see, Uplift comes equipped with a lot of different features. As this is a prototype, we do have a non-motorized push-pull rail system at the moment, but with your investment, we would hope to make it completely motorized and autonomous for our user. But what is motorized is what's inside this box here is two stepper motors connected to 2 lead screws, which propel our laptop up with just the click of a button or the flick of his joystick. As easily as this product does come up to our user's required height and go to our user's required distance, just as easily as it goes up, it comes right back down with the same switch of a button or click of a switch.
For any journey, it is important to, or for any innovation, it's important to understand the journey that it took to get here. For our journey, we've created a little video montage detailing highlighting the points that we took to get where we are today. We'll play it now.
Uplift dummy, uplift dummy. 1, 2, 3, uplift.
All right. Here at Uplift is our utmost priority to provide an accessible option for people like Adrian so that they have the chance to live an independent life and have the same chance at success and opportunities as everyone else. Uplift is not just a product. It's not just a piece of technology. It's not even just a team. It is a vehicle that will allow us to reach the next level of schoolwork and workplace laptop accessibility. With Uplift, Adrian and more than 3 million people worldwide will have easy access to their laptop wherever they go. So join us today and be uplifted into a more accessible future. Thank you. Questions?
Hi. So question for me. So are there other things like this on the market?
Not that we've seen at all. As talking to Adrian, some other accessories for his wheelchair that don't exactly do what ours does in the slightest sense are always breaking. So we developed ours so that it wouldn't break. And Adrian's also mentioned that there is nothing on the market and he's constantly searching for one. But it's unfortunate that he has to ask someone every time to put his laptop on a table. That might not always work for Adrian. So our product puts it to the correct height for our user versus college campuses can't add tables just for everyone's height.
Part of the reason why our product is so unique is our actual connection with Adrian. It's made us really have a really unique outlook on what we're doing and what our product should be that would best help this person. And then we found that there's a group of people all around the world that would also benefit from this. So it's really a special moment that we've gotten really only from Adrian, and we're now able to expand it around the world.
Okay, thank you. And can you tell us just what's been the hardest thing about this?
Honestly, just getting the whole thing together and working. We struggled a lot just with our stepper motor in general. It took us quite a bit to get that stepper motor working, constantly watching videos. Our team worked super hard on the stepper motors. So that was the most challenging part. But actually, once we got that working, assembling it in the last week or two before the demo was really well and worked very well once we got the steppers working.
Is it on? Okay. I know that you're still in prototype phase, but what is your vision for potentially costs and things around that and making it more accessible to folks that could leverage the product?
All right. So in terms of like finalizing the product, we were thinking of having electronics down here and then also having the whole case be made of like acrylic or something like that to just be reinforced. Adrian on his wheelchair, like any other accessory that he uses, usually it breaks really quickly. So we're hoping to really have a lot of reinforcement on there to make sure it is stable and doesn't break and very secure. Another thing is that it probably would end up weighing a lot, right? But his wheelchair is really big and these wheelchair with mods are usually really heavy, so it shouldn't be that big of a problem. This does, yeah.
Yeah. So some other ideas that we came up with is we want it to be waterproof just because it will be outside and he'll be moving around with it. So we want it to be able to be waterproof. His laptop's not going to get wet. And then once he's actually inside or in a safe spot, then he can actually get it to work and move. And then we just want it to be made out of a nice strong material. And you can see right here, it's actually got bungees right here. A big thing that Adrian really wanted was that it could be easily removed and taken off. And so our current solution is bungees, but we want to come up with something better and stronger that would make it a lot more efficient. And then to the cost question, Zach actually has that direct number.
Yeah, so we built our prototype here for about $149.99. So yeah.
That's what it is. That's what it would be to customers.
No, that's how we built.
And we would find a lot of ways to like reduce costs. This was all of the prototyping and figuring it out. And once we get a final product and everything ready, then it can be a lot lower.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hey, our third pitch is X Wheels from Santa Clara High School in Santa Clara, California. Don't go around, go over.
Hi, everyone. We're Team X Wheels, and this is our pitch.
Meet our team. I'm Sahasra. That's Ruchi, Asher, Samya, Dylan, Arthur, Juju, and Sophia. Our community partner, Craig, has a passion for music and drawing, and he even created this drawing here to the left. He also loves to spend quality time with his loved ones, and he has a significant impact in his community. Craig has a condition known as multiple sclerosis, which affects the central nervous system. It severely restricts his physical mobility, thus leading him to use a wheelchair. This is a quote from Craig explaining how there's no specific definition for what MS is, and it affects different people in different ways. The problem that our device aims to solve is how wheelchair users have a difficult time accessing public areas due to obstacles in the sidewalk, such as cracks or potholes. This is a quote from a story Craig told us about how he was trying to get to an open mic night until he encountered a huge pothole in the ground, which his wheelchair could not get over, and he never ended up making it to his open mic night. This is what led us to create the idea of a wheelchair attachment, which deploys a platform and covers the obstacle, allowing the wheelchair user to go over it versus around.
Okay, so just to quickly introduce our idea, we wanted our device to be positioned under the wheelchair, connected by the 2 vertical sliders that will bring our platform and device up and down so our platform is not rubbing against the ground. Then a slider will extend our platform forward, then rotate it by 90 degrees. So our main product features of this year's project was our mechanical and electronical parts, but as well as how we're going to make an attachment so that we don't permanently alter Craig's wheelchair, as well as the safety regarding adding an extra mechanical part to an already moving wheelchair. So as for our mechanics, we used a 12-volt DC motor, 2-way sliders, and a cardboard platform. As you can tell, our cardboard platform is only for prototyping phases. When we implement this on an actual wheelchair, we'll be using a more robust material such as wood or metal. And we finally use an SG90 micro servo motor to rotate the platform. As for electronics, to make all of our motors and mechanics move, we use an Arduino Uno, which is currently powered by USB power. It will later be powered by battery power. Additionally, we use an LN L298N motor controller to control our 12-volt DC motors because Arduino only supports 5 volts. This is a quick electrical diagram to show all of our electronic components. So attachment. So one of the main product features that we really wanted to focus on this year was creating an attachment so we don't permanently alter Craig's wheelchair. Craig's wheelchair is something that is extremely expensive and really hard to work with. And we didn't want to permanently alter that. That's why we created an attachment that can be used on a need basis only, since it's only supposed to be used outside and not affect the actual wheelchair. So this is our prototype, and it's currently in the prototyping stages. That's why we have a lot of cardboard and other prototyping materials, such as bottle caps and whatnot, but it'll be later used with wood and metal to make our prototype more robust and less breakable with an actual wheelchair. So our prototype works by using a slider that extends fully outside, then rotates 90 degrees so that our wheels of the wheelchair are able to go over the platform, since our platform is stored in between the width of the wheelchairs. If we don't rotate it, the wheels won't be able to go over the platform. Then once the platform comes to the back of the wheelchair with the help of the slider, it is rotated back into its original position and pulled back under the wheelchair. So our slider is really crucial for our project to work because it's a 2-way slider. It's different from regular drawer sliders because drawer sliders can only go one way, but our 2-way slider goes both forward and backwards, which allows us to not detach our platform and allows us to have it fully put on. So this is a quick demonstration on how our platform will rotate with a servo motor, and this is a demonstration on how our slider works. Our slider works with a pulley system. The pulley system makes 2 diagonal motors with one motor unraveling and another motor raveling up so it can go both forward and backwards.
When prototyping, safety was our #1 priority, so we wanted to use materials that were as safe and reliable as possible. So our original testing plan is to test first on a manual wheelchair, and this is because it does not require electricity and it's less complex compared to Craig's wheelchair. Also, we have more ground clearance underneath Craig's wheelchair because his only has about 3 inches of space, while a manual wheelchair has much more for us to work with. And we've already tested our sliders and motor, so we know that those work. Our idea will change how wheelchair users can access public areas. This is our competitor matrix. One main difference is ours is an attachment, while these are large clunky wheelchairs that are intended to go over potholes and cracks in the sidewalk. Ours is not intended to drive in nature, however, unlike these 3. This quote from Craig shows that he loves our idea because he thinks it can help like more people than just limited to him. Our future mechanical testing steps are more complex mechanisms, such as Craig's wheelchair itself, improving the reach of our platform so it can go over larger obstacles, and applying it for other uses, such as strollers, because they deal with similar issues. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to our presentations. We're free to take any questions now.
Great, thank you. So one question was around, you said you didn't want to permanently alter the wheelchair. Does that mean that Craig and other users would take this on and off the wheelchair periodically? How frequently might they have to do this? Is this something they're capable of doing, or would they need someone to help them?
So as we're still in the prototyping phases, this would be a device that Craig would probably need help with attaching. However, this wouldn't be something that he uses every single day, as Craig, when he was speaking to us, mentioned that he doesn't always go out onto the sidewalk every single day. It's more like a once a week kind of thing when he wants to go on an open mic night, or if he wants to go visit a friend's house that's nearby, so that's like he can take himself instead of having to have someone else drive him or wheel him there.
My question is a little bit similar. How many types of obstacles did you learn are out there generally, whether that be cracks or holes or whatever? And how many of those obstacles do you feel like this attachment would help?
That's a great question. I think I'll pass this question on to Dylan.
Yeah, so there are a lot of different obstacles that we need to go over, and the frequency in which we encounter them is very frequent. And as like Craig mentioned, like it's very hard for him to maneuver in sidewalks because at almost every street there's like a pothole. And in terms of what potholes and obstacles that we'd be able to go over with our device, right now we're limited by the width of our actual platform, but in the future we'd hope to expand that and it'd be able to traverse through any sized obstacle in the street.
Are there currently any limitations to the prototype around it needing to be flat surface? And if so, have you thought about having inclines or declines and how future iterations might be affected by that?
Yeah, I think I'll pass this question on to Samya. Thank you so much.
Okay, so right now we're still prototyping, so we want to keep our constraints as small as possible. So right now we're only focusing on a flat surface, but we will later be able to move on to more inclined surfaces, which can be altered with materials at the bottom of the platform, so there's more grip and whatnot.
Hi, just question, what would you consider making the platform out of that isn't cardboard?
Other than cardboard. Currently, we have the most access to wood in our area. We work at the 49ers Leadership Institute. So because of that, we have access to sharp bots and laser cutters. We probably go for wood first, but we are thinking about using metal as an eventual decision to make.
Right. Thank you very much. All right, our fourth team is Talon Twister from Atwater High School in Atwater, California, blending a twist when needed.
Hello, everyone. We are the Talon Tinkers from Atwater High School, and our invention is the Talon Twister. My name is Cashley Jones.
My name is Rebecca Diallo.
My name is Andrea Sandoval. My name is Shayna Lohr.
My name is Josue Chavez.
My name is Brian Salcedo.
My name is Kennedy Zhang.
My name is Maicy Lee Jones.
My name is Mia Ward.
And my name is Kylie Lee.
Okay, so about our community partner, Nidhi Jasor, sitting over there, is our community partner. She is an ambitious woman with a beautiful family and a toddler she enjoys spending time with. Nidhi works for a nonprofit organization where she aids people struggling with disabilities. For leisure, Nidhi enjoys activities such as running, cooking, and playing ball with her toddler. However common these activities may sound, Nidhi has much trouble participating in such activities due to a condition she struggles from called Ehlers-Danlos syndrome.
As mentioned, our community partner has Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, and this is an inherited disorder that causes overly flexible joints that can dislocate easily, skin that can bruise, and it can also cause like major blood vessels to rupture or dilate. It causes extreme tiredness, dizziness, or joint pain after doing physical activities. However, her condition is more neurological as she doesn't show much physical signs of the syndrome. We have met with our community partner and we decided that we wanted to create something for everyone and not only people with mobility issues. Nidhi loves to cook, and because she has a problem with physical activities, we decided to create something called the Talon Twister, which is a jar opener.
Our product is split up into 3 different subsections. The first subsection is the opener. This subsection has a serrated edge on the top, and it allows for automatic opening.
The second subsection is the lift. The lift allows the top of the jar opener to shift up and down, which allows it to adapt to the jar's height. This improves its versatility and allows it to be worked on a variety of jars. Our current prototype does not have this, but we do plan on incorporating it in a future iteration.
Our third component is the base. The base has a rotating plate, as you can see right here on the first prototype, and on this prototype, it also has the spinning plate. We plan on adding a gripping mechanism that will help hold the jar so that any twisting is easier for the machine to work. And we also plan on adding a stabilizer so that it's not as wobbly, as you can see right there.
We faced many challenges throughout our iteration process. For example, we lacked mechanical knowledge to bring our idea to fruition. We also lacked, our product is a little bulky. Also, our motors are a little loud. But we are working on solutions to these challenges. For instance, we are planning on adding a jingle to mask the noise of the loud motors.
The jar opener is for people who do not have the strength or ability to carry on regular daily activities because of their debilitating conditions, including our community partner, Nidhi. However, the jar opener can be used for people of all kinds, including someone who suffers from arthritis, veterans, elderly individuals, and more. So, how many of you have ever had to open a jar or water bottle for a toddler? Anyone? Yes. Well, our jar opener would be able to be used for children, and it's safe and kid-friendly. The jar opener will be sold on the market at an average price of $30, and it will be focused on low and middle class people.
Now, how are we going to make our product different compared to other jar openers that are already on the market? Our two main priorities were affordability and adaptability. For the affordability portion, as Maisie mentioned, we wanted to create our product that could be marketed to these low to middle class individuals who everyone in their lives have struggled at least once with opening a jar. Some may not see a jar opener as an essential product to their kitchen household. However, opening jars is an extremely bearing day-to-day task that we hope to eliminate that hassle. Also, for the adaptability portion, as mentioned, the jar opener has a lift height feature that would accommodate to a variety of heights, as well as the rotating plate would be able to grip different size jars, as well as the serrated edge would be able to grow in width and decrease based on the cap size.
If there are any further questions about our product after this event is over, we do have an Instagram, which is provided on the slides. And thank you for listening.
I'm actually just curious, there feels like there might be competitors in the market, but this is obviously differentiated. When you're thinking about the competition, how did that come in comparison to the $30 prototype? Like, are you in a range? You mentioned a lot around really your addressable market. How does that speak to the addressable market?
So the current market has jar openers that are handheld. So those, of course, are a lower price point because they do not have the motors that ours would have. However, we compared our price point to can openers and different kitchen items that are similar to what our jar opener would be, and tried to make our product as low as possible, which of course we are not at that point of having a specific price point. That's why it's like around $30 for, we still need to add the height feature as well as regulating our grip mechanism.
When thinking about the mechanical design of this, something that comes to mind is the jar itself spinning versus the jar being static and the cutter twister spinning. So how did you make that decision?
We decided to have the jar itself spinning because the availability of our serrated edge, the idea came from using your own hand to spin the jar and not having something spinning the jar, spinning the lid, serrated edge. So that's really where our idea came from, is utilizing your own hand. So it kind of mimics that, utilizing your own hand to open the jar.
What is so let's say you get the funding, you continue with this as a team. What is your vision for this, let's say in 5 years?
I would say that as a club, like we would want to continue and like just try our best to like make this envision. And for me, at least, like we want to make it to people who like have those conditions to be able to use. So we want to make it working because right now it's not fully functional, but it is just a prototype. But I would love to build from here. And I think my people would just like continue like maybe selling in the future, but for the most part, yeah.
So you talked about having a serrated edge to take the lid off the jar. Have you considered being able to open cans as well in a future iteration?
I mean, thank you for giving us that idea. Like, we could actually use that to help. Yeah.
I'll license it to you. It'll be fine.
Okay, yeah, for sure.
But of course, we would love to have that feature as well for constantly getting a new item for your kitchen household. Could be, yes, this only works just for this feature and this only works for that. So we would like our jar opener to be accessible to multiple different jars and cans and different features.
Thank you so much. That's great.
All right, our fifth pitch is Grab a Cane from Santa Clara High School in Santa Clara, California. Grab a cane, an extra helping hand.
Hello, we're Team X and our product is Grab a Cane. Our team consists of 7 members.
I'm Jackson.
I'm Nandana. I'm Anushri.
I'm Priya.
I'm Gia. I'm Sarah. And I'm Marcella.
So first things first, meet Nidhi, our community partner. A few things about Nidhi. She's an employee at the organization Diversability, which is an organization that strives to spread disability pride all over the world. She's been diagnosed with HEDS, short for hypermobile Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, a condition that causes chronic and joint pain. Ever since being diagnosed with HEDS, Nidhi's had difficulties performing her everyday tasks and hobbies such as writing and baking.
But how exactly does HEDS affect her daily life? Because she faces constant chronic pain in her neck and back, she's unable to enjoy her hobbies to the maximum or pick up items from the ground with ease. That is why we decided to create Grab a Cane, a device that helps to lessen the strain caused by her everyday activities.
What exactly is Grab a Cane? We incorporate both a picker-upper and a cane into one device. Because Nidhi feels joint pain when performing repeated movements with her fingers, we added in just 2 buttons that when pressed will control the claw. Grab a Cane will not only assist our community partner, but it will assist all other HDS patients, as well as the elderly and those who experience joint pain.
Here is an animation of our product. This showcases our Grab a Cane transforming from its grabber mode to its cane mode. Grab a Cane is a picker-upper cane that is combined with a 3-claw mechanism and a sturdy body that allows a stable platform for the user to rest on. The 3-claw mechanism ensures that a variety of objects can be picked up and also provides the user with a sturdy platform. The electronic components include the Arduino Uno and a DC motor that allows the movement of the claws depending on the user input from the push buttons. The other components include the circuit box, the body of the cane created from PVC pipes, and the claw created from straws and wood. Here's a short demonstration of our Grab a Cane functioning.
As you can see, when one of the buttons on the side of the box is pressed, the claw of the cane opens up, and when the other button is pressed, the claw closes around the object.
Fortunately, Nidhi was able to visit us and test out Grab a Cane. Some of the feedback we received was that the cane was too tall for her height and that we could change the grip of the buttons, we could change the configuration of the buttons to make for an easier grip. We made adjustments according to this feedback. She also mentioned that the cane was very light, if not lighter than her other canes.
Here are 3 of our competitors. As you can see, Gabgenda uses 2 small feet at the bottom and includes a hook to help carry your bags. The handy cane works in a similar method, but with longer claws at the bottom. And finally, the helping hand cane works like a normal cane, but with a detachable claw. Although our product is on the high end of pricing, it includes an electronic system to help provide comfort to the user. Instead of having to squeeze a hinge, the user simply has to push a button in order to open and close the claw.
This is our product pricing chart. Our overall price is at $70, broken up by all these categories. Our material cost takes up around 43%. Our labor takes up around 23%. Our overhead takes up around 16%. And finally, our markup takes around 18%.
How is our product unique? Grab a Cane features a 3-claw mechanism, which allows for greater stability and also functions with the use of push buttons. These features allow our device to help assist those with joint pain and those who lack grip strength.
But why exactly fund us? What about our product makes it worth funding? With your funding, we will be able to obtain better cost-efficient materials that'll help us improve our product. Grab a Cane is a special product because it does not target any specific people with any specific conditions. With many people who experience joint pain, our product is a one-size-fits-all that truly fits all kinds of people.
Throughout our project Invent experience, we learned to empathize with others as well as improve our understanding of motors and circuits. We also learned to collaborate as well as communicate with each other whenever we work on any part of the project together.
Our team believes that our product will help people in the real world by lending a hand to accomplish those everyday tasks that may be difficult. Grab a Cane isn't just a cane, it's a tool to help those in need of an extra hand. Thank you.
Very cool. Are there any limitations to what the cane can grab today or in the future? Things like size, weight, certain surface materials?
That's a really good question. Priya, do you want to answer this one?
So as of right now, as you can see our cane up here, the claw is currently, it's currently a mid-size, so it can't really pick up small items like pennies and coins and things like that. And it can't pick up something as big as a basketball. But the current size right now, it fits for example, Nidhi has a son. So if she needs to pick up her son's toys, it can grab things like that.
I was just thinking it'd be cool to have like a magnetic mode so you could switch it and have it be magnetic for things that you can't like claw, but that I just thought of that. My question is kind of similarly, what was the biggest takeaway or learning you learned from the problem itself or that you didn't know about this kind of space?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Anushri, yeah?
In one of our previous slides, as I said before, we learned to, we improved our understanding of the circuit as well as learning as well as the mechanical part. When the motor turns, the rope pulls, which pulls the claw and closes it, and the other way makes it close. So we learned more about mechanical design.
Adding on, this is also our first project that we worked on working with a community partner. So we also got to learn how to empathize more and think more of Nidhi's mindset instead of thinking of what we would want to add to the project. So I think we took away a lot of empathy from this as well.
Great. One of the things that I heard when you were first talking about your partner was that she's sometimes inhibited by things that she wants to do, baking, reading. How did you decide that this was the thing that was going to help her in her pursuit of having a more acclimated life?
Yeah, so we did think of that. Nandana?
So when we first met with our community partner, she mentioned that she has multiple hobbies, and we did think about creating devices that will help with those hobbies. But one of the other facts that we learned was that she faces difficulty picking up objects from the ground, and we thought that that would be a major problem that we could help solve using a device. And also she uses a cane when she goes on walks to the park. And so that's how we thought of the idea of combining those two elements together and creating a cane that could also function as a picker-upper.
Do you have any thoughts on battery life? I'm assuming the idea would be it's rechargeable. Do you know how long the battery currently lasts on the prototype and what your plans are?
Nandana again.
So currently we have a 9-volt battery, and we've had this battery for 3 months now. And we do plan to change the battery once every 3 or 4 months. So it does have a pretty good battery life.
Great, thank you so much. All right, our sixth pitch is Box of Bits, Bob, from Latitude High in Oakland, California, an organization system that tracks and identifies driver bits.
Skip the intro slide. Okay. Hi, we are the team from Latitude, and we're here to present Bob, the box of organized bits. Here's a couple pictures of our team. Unfortunately, not everyone could be here with us today. And I'm going to pass it off to my colleague, Angie, who's going to tell you about our problem and how we found our community partner.
So while we were trying to figure out who could be our community partner, we looked at different projects that were going on in our school, and we decided to interview the 9th grade physics teachers and talk to them about the tiny home project that they're working on. These are the tiny homes that the 9th grade students work on with the physics teachers, and they build them every year, and it goes off to the YSA Tiny Home Village, who helps homeless youth have housing, and the YSA helps them have a permanent home and figure out what they want to do with their careers. After interviewing our community partners, according to them, the organization, like the system of organizing bits, was very inefficient. So that was our problem. So before Bob, this is kind of what life was like. It was just all of our bits were just in this little orange bin, and everything was mixed up. So it was hard to tell it was hard to differentiate the different bits, and things would fall, and it was just very unorganized.
So through these issues and the community partners, in comes Bob, the box of organized bits. It's a smart storage system that can fit standard size bits and gives all that information to a web server. It is wall mounted, so wherever you are in the classroom, it's easy to see. Because of the way the bits are tiled, you can find the bit without having to scrounge around in a bucket. All the bits are held in with magnets and what we are calling hex tubes. Because Bob is wall mounted, it's really adjustable. You can put it pretty much anywhere. What's inside of Bob is an Arduino, which is what's basically powering it. All the code is run on it. An optical sensor, which can tell when the bits are there and when they aren't. And a shift register, which takes all the inputs from the optical sensors and turns it into a byte of code for the Arduino to understand.
So the way Bob works is that when you insert the drill bit into the tube, the optical sensor will see that it is in fact in there, and it will send that signal to the shift register. The shift register, as Jeremy said, will interpret the signal and send it off to the Arduino, which communicates with the web app and allows our teachers or whoever owns our product to see how many bits they have. Our product has a number of strengths. Firstly and foremost, it's very efficient in space. In a lot of makerspaces, you see that space gets used up quite quickly. Floor space is at a premium because so many things are going on. Saves a lot of time, both because you can see the bits visually facing you from the wall, and because the web app allows the user, the owner, or the teacher to see when and where you have the bits. Our product is quite revolutionary. It's unlike anything we've seen on the market. We did a bit of market research, actually, and we found that there's no smart storage solution for bits that knows when and where you have them. Here's the market research we did. This is the competitor matrix. Our product is relatively inexpensive in comparison to a lot of other products and offers a lot of features such as its modularity and the smart website, which we've not yet seen in the market. We did a lot of iteration with our process. We started with, of course, as every good project starts, a cardboard box. You can see down in the box, we have the same matrix, the lattice that we have in the end. We moved to putting drill bits in circular tubes, but we found that that was an inconvenient solution as every tube had to be differently sized. We eventually moved over to the hex tube model, where we started tiling and adding things on, and eventually we come to the optical sensor and magnet-driven design. So after testing our product a bit with our community partners, we found that not only did our product improve their lives a lot, but that it was more than the solution that they needed. In the beginning, we asked them a bunch of questions, and we saw that they only really needed, or they were only really asking for a storage solution in the first place. The storage solution that was in place before Bob is just a box to throw the boxes of bits into. So Bob is really a step ahead of the solution. It's a smart device that goes beyond even our teachers' expectations.
You skipped it.
There you go. You got it.
No,
You got it. You got it.
got it? Okay. So our next steps, we're calling it our AAA plan. The first day is accessible. We want to reach out to makerspaces and other public building just areas to give them give them just the products. We can get more feedback on a more public space, because we're only really testing in a school, but we feel like we can really outreach this into a much larger customer base. An app. We have a web app running, but we want to make it a phone app so we can check from anywhere without needing like a direct computer or having a browser open. And finally, aesthetics. We're printing a circuit board for Bob instead of just having to solder it every single time. And we're hoping to, in the final version of Bob, section off the product so you can have like a red section, a blue section, and then from within the web app, you can be like, okay, red section is just Phillips heads, just flat heads, whatever you need it to be. Just press it once. We thank you so much for your time. We're open to any questions about Bob.
Thank you. I think I need about 4 of these, so this will be awesome. I'll place an order. So, so the goal is just tracking the bits so that they go home at the end of class or when people are using them, so you know they are not lost. Is that the idea?
Yes, that is the idea. I believe my colleague Enzo knows more about this.
In the 9th grade class, the groups or the project is separated into a bunch of groups. And the additions to Bob that Jeremy was discussing, the sectioning off into red and blue and yellow areas, would facilitate that. So you have each group has their own sector of the product. And from there, the teacher can use the web app or their phone app to see, oh, this group is missing, you know, a Phillips bit. This group is missing, oh my God, they lost all their bits. We need to restock.
That never happens, right? It never happens.
So, you know, the teacher can find the correct students to yell at or the correct bits to restock on. And that really streamlined the process because we keep losing so many of them.
Yeah, makes sense. Thank you very much.
It was actually discussed a little bit when we were walking around at the beginning of the day. We were looking at your prototype and how right now it can sense if the holes pockets are filled or not filled, but that today it can't differentiate what the drill bit is. Tell me a little bit about, as you move forward in future iterations, what kind of technology would it take for the product to actually have that kind of smart intuition?
Enzo worked a lot of the hardware side. I think I'm going to give it back to him again.
So as of current, the Bob works on optical sensors below the drill bits. And using that, it can tell if they're there or not, just a kind of on-off signal. In order to know what type of drill bit would be in the slot without a user intervention, we would have to use something similar to a camera and a neural network type object or system to determine, oh, this is a Phillips bit, this is flathead. It's quite a bit of a leap in terms of the complexity of our product. And right now we're just going for the user will set this set of tubes, this sector, or this specific tube as the Phillips flathead area.
How did you decide on the optical sensor versus maybe other ways of determining whether a bit is present?
Yeah, Andres, you know about this. Okay.
So this was quite a bit of a process. We first decided to with the drill bits. We decided to have a contact on the bottom and top of the tube, so that when you put the drill bit in, it connects the circuit. But then realized that would be hard to do and like hard to manufacture and repeat and do a lot of. So then we decided like, well, how else can we do this? How else can we make this easier? So we decided to use optical sensors, which are a lot easier. They're a lot smaller. And then it's just an IR sensor, so it's infrared. So there's an LED and then a receiver. And then we can just say, sorry. So then we can just say that it's just there or not. Yeah.
Great. Thank you so much. All right, our seventh pitch is Swoosh from Gorge Makerspace in White Salmon, Washington, the easy hand washing station for farm workers.
Hello, I'm August. And I'm Lila. We're the team behind Swoosh, the efficient hand washer for farm workers. This is our team from White Salmon, Washington. Here's Maddie and here's Lily. We're all high school sophomores, 2 returning and 2 new. We've got a variety of talents. Here is Maritza, our community partner. She's incredibly passionate about the issues that we address, and that makes us more devoted to listening and providing support for the community. She's a social worker with the Oregon Human Development Corporation. She's also a former farm worker herself, starting working in the fields when she was just 7 years old. Down? Oh, no. Starting working in the fields when she was just 7 years old alongside her parents. She'd get up in the mornings at 4 a.m. to avoid the sun and the heat and pick cherries and pears with her dad. He still works in these conditions. We quickly became very fascinated with the problems we found in the farm working community, especially the systemic issues that arose. However, no matter how much we desperately wanted to help with the many stigmas, they were just intangible issues for us. We couldn't come up with a product that could fix things like workplace harassment or things like that that occur in the community. So even though these farm workers' voices aren't often listened to, we wanted to show we're listening just by helping with what we can. As Maritza said, it's frustrating, but even just telling you about them and you listening helps. So we created Swoosh, the fast and efficient, sorry, that's my bad. Hand washing is the simple solution to getting rid of pesticides because pesticides can cause cancer and other health problems if you ingest or come into contact with them, which farm workers do every day. Hand washing is again the only real way to get rid of these pesticides. However, running water is not often provided, and the sometimes provided foot pump sinks are ineffective and slow, which takes away from the amount of time that farm workers have to pick the fruit. So because they're paid not hourly, but by how much they pick, they really need this time. So the pesticides end up staying on their hands and then are transferred to food when they eat at lunch and are eaten, raising the risks. So we created Swoosh. Swoosh is a efficient hand washer, as mentioned earlier. It can clean hands quickly and thoroughly, unlike other products in the market, like foot pump sinks and just normal sinks, but not often they have those. Oh yeah, it has high pressure, which really helps wash the pesticides off, and it takes a lot less time than the foot pump sinks or hoses.
We use, for our jets, we use little agricultural nozzles that are often in like greenhouses or just out on the fields as well. And we were able to adjust them to make sure the pressure was enough to wash pesticides.
Swoosh also recycles, reuses, and filters its own water, both actively and passively. No, okay, cool. Both actively and passively to make sure that we're environmentally sustainable and they don't have to have access to running water.
Here's a animation by August.
Water and hygiene is a human right. So how can we make sure that everyone can access these? Enter. Swoosh. Easy. Agency would help farm workers get pesticides off their hands. What could be used to help anyone wash their hands anywhere if there's no running water? Let's take a look inside. You'll notice a washing basin, blow jet pump, water tubes, and a water tube. Health and safety is a human right. Water and hygiene is a human right. So how can we make sure that everyone can access these rights? Enter. Swoosh. Easy hand washing station. Agency would help farm workers get pesticides off their hands. What can be used to help anybody wash their hands anywhere where there's no running water or electricity? Let's take a look inside. If you take off the protective exterior, you'll notice a washing basin, blow jet pump, water tubes, and a water tube. Looking even further, you'll find a motion sensor, water nozzles, pesticide filter, water funnel, and a stagnant water filter. Let's start with that motion sensor. As soon as it senses hands, it sends a signal down into the blow jet pump, which pumps water into the agricultural nozzles, spraying on the hands, draining into a pesticide filter, which drains back into the same water basin where it's filtered passively through a stagnant water filter, all powered by a car battery. This is Swoosh.
This animation was created when we planned to use a car battery. We actually use a 9-volt battery that was a lot easier to transport here.
All the way from Washington State, folks. All right. We also wanted to make sure, though, that we were giving people a product that they needed. So we took our product to Maritza and several local water companies for product testing. We learned that our initial streams of water were not actually as effective as we thought at getting pesticides off their hands. So we modified the nozzles and the tubes to concentrate the water to increase the water pressure. Our motion sensor was also raised concerns about not working in certain lighting conditions, as the lighting is often changing. They're getting up before the sun and leaving after it sets. So we needed to rewrite the code to be more adaptable for that. We also realized we needed to reuse and recycle water based entirely on something Maritza told us.
So here is our motion sensor in its early stages. This is one of the first times it ever worked. And next we have our prototype spraying water for the first time.
We should.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
As you can see, I was very surprised that it actually worked, but I was very proud of us. As Maritza said, this product would genuinely help bring something to people, something as important as water too. But this didn't just help them, it helped us. We learned many lessons along the way, like the importance of listening to other communities and how small changes can really make a big impact.
So let's take a moment to look at the cost. So we are a really close community, so donation can really help with the total. But in total, our materials costed $135. Our labor would estimate to be $32, but we want to lessen that by giving community service opportunities to students, especially at our school where we're in a very small town. So again, we're very connected. We need those. Our markup would end up to be $15, and at most, Swoosh would cost $182.
In terms of distribution, we want to actually talk to farm workers to see where our product is needed most, because we don't just want to put it somewhere where it's not going to be used. We also want to create a website to display Swoosh and activism resources. And through that, we hope to contact companies like the Salvation Army and even Goodwater, didn't know we were going to be here, but here we are, who help spread things like Swoosh to low-income communities and places in need of disaster relief, which would benefit from Swoosh. We want to spread our product and awareness globally.
So swoosh, okay. Swoosh can be used professionally and recreationally and anywhere without running water. So we have some of those locations here. If you'd like to take a look, like campsites, concerts, parks, and airports. Okay. We also do have some competitors though that we'd like to take a look at. Competitor number one is Polyjon. It's kind of what you see at most farm working stations community currently. However, it has high bulk, time, and cost, and is pretty inefficient in comparison to Swoosh. Next up, we have Honey Bucket. It requires a large water tank or running water. It has a lot of the same issues as Polyjon, and this is the one that is most used currently at a lot of the farms in our area.
This one also requires access to running water, which is a big issue. $182 may not sound cheap, but our competitors charge $770 and $900 respectively. Swoosh also has very high efficiency and accessibility in comparison to these products. Okay. Our next steps in terms of the product would be to improve our external design. As you can see, all we have is an ace bucket right now, but we also want to add higher levels of filtration and add anti-pesticide compounds.
We want to create a better, cleaner future, provide good hand washing to everyone who needs it. Swoosh, it's the future of hand washing.
Raising awareness for people who need it, providing a right to people who deserve it. Thank you.
There we go. That was awesome. Great job, guys. Cool. My question is, so it sounds like you really listened to kind of the needs. What were some of the other things you heard that you were kind of thinking of potentially innovating around?
We talked a lot with Maritza about the specific needs of the community, and we learned a lot about hygiene and harassment that happens at the farm workers. And it just seemed to be such intangible issues, but we really wanted to work on them. So for a while, we wanted to work with something with feminine hygiene and try and create something that could help protect women in this environment. But it just seemed too inaccessible for us. August, do you have something to add?
I do. One of the products that we originally were thinking about creating was something that would where you could alert authorities or people who you needed to alert. We didn't get very far in this product if you were being harassed at work, for example. However, we actually did some research and there's some pretty good products for this on the market. So we decided to switch directions to something that we would be original at.
Sweet. That's
Thank
great.
you.
Thank you. Two questions. Actually, a thought and a question. This strikes me as something that would be great to open source, right? Community project, you ship the bucket with all the bits in and they set it up themselves. So just a thought for you if you don't get it to product.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Like just community project online would be amazing so people can build it themselves. On the subject of filtering, so you're taking pesticides off of people's hands, you're going to have a very toxic bucket, filter, whatever there that needs to be disposed of. So what are your thoughts on the filtering, and then how do you get rid of the toxic chemicals?
Yeah, August, I think you might have an answer.
Yeah, for sure. So you're right. The water does need to be changed like every 3 days or so, because while it is being filtered like passively and actively, you're right, it does compound at some point. If you're not using it in a farm, you don't need to change it as often. But in this scenario, yes, you do need to use it. However, most farms do have ways of disposing for pesticide water because they are washing their fruit of pesticides a lot. So in a lot of the like factories and places near them, they have places to dispose of pesticides, so they could just go along and take their water there.
We also have done a lot of research on specific filters targeted for pesticides and found that we want to add several different filters. There's the original filter that we'll use that just gets rid of the gunk and all the like physical things. However, we want to actively use other filters that take out the smaller and just micro chemicals and particles.
So much. That's great. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right, that wraps up our pitches. I believe you all are going to go deliberate. Is that my understanding?
Okay, so we're actually a little bit ahead of schedule. And since we have space, we're inviting the students to come back up for the keynote address. So we'll just take a few minutes while the kids get situated and come up from downstairs, and then we'll move on. So just hang out for 1 minute. All right, here they come. Welcome back, teams. That was so great. Maybe let's give them another round of applause. All right, sure. Okay, all right. Congratulations to all our brilliant student teams and amazing support networks of teachers, mentors, and family. Thank you all guys for being here. Our panelists have headed off to deliberate, and they're in another room. And while they deliberate and decide on our 3 awards, the rest of us are in for a big treat. So we have our keynote speaker here, and after that, we'll hear a little bit more highlights from the teams themselves. So I'd like to introduce Luke Schoberg. He's a Global Chief Information Security Officer at Sequoia Capital. Luke is responsible for ensuring the stability and integrity of Sequoia's global systems and data. That sounds like a big job. He defines security standards, evaluates improvements, and provides systems and training that enable Sequoia to meet those standards. So please welcome Luke Schoberg.
Thanks, everybody. It is great to be here. Pardon me while I struggle probably with some feedback issues that everyone's been struggling with. We'll see if we can get the clicker working. This has been totally amazing watching all these presentations and getting to know the projects that you've been working on. So inspirational. I want to ask a quick question. Who has always wanted to invent? Who's always wanted to be an inventor? Yes, so very many. How many of you have always wanted to be a founder? Okay, pretty good number. That's awesome. So the venture capitalists work with founders to scale their companies to meet their ambition. That's what Sequoia Capital does. That's what Goodwater does. So today I'm going to try to talk a little bit about some of the themes that you've been working with as you've been going through your projects. That's me. I want to talk about building your inner inventor around the themes of curiosity, resilience, and ambition. I know that these have been themes that you've been focused on as you've been working through your projects. I have a couple notes with me. I've been paying attention to everything you've been saying. And so I'm going to flip through some of these. I've been scribbling notes, watching what you've been doing. So as mentioned, I'm the Chief Information Security Officer at Sequoia, commonly abbreviated CISO. Fun facts about me: I grew up in Albuquerque, New Mexico, a lovely place if you've never visited. When I was in high school, I used to take the city bus to get to my school. I did not take a school bus. I did not have a car to drive. I took the city bus. My role at Sequoia is to defend us against hackers, basically, a very simple way of thinking about it. I also help evaluate our investment opportunities. I'm not myself an investor, but I listen to pitches from companies in the security space who talk about the problems they're trying to solve. So I'm a buyer. So as you prospective founders think about the solutions that you're bringing to market, think about the buyer persona and who's going to write the check. That's me. My foundation is in IT. I started as a hacky builder kind of person, like so very many of you, building servers, building networks, getting things, systems talking to one another. However, people enter the security space many different ways. And as we look at this sort of prototypical image of a hacker in the middle, you sort of see a lot of times people think of this as like a dude in a hoodie. Well, let's think about a couple other examples of interesting hackers, especially in the cybersecurity space. Rachel Toback on the left is an expert in social engineering. She's the founder and CEO of a company called Social Proof Security. She's totally awesome. Katie Masuris is the hacker in the middle. Her focus is vulnerability disclosure and bug bounties. She is the founder of a company called Luda Security. And on the right is Runa Sandvik. She's a noted hacker and security expert. She used to be the head of security of the New York Times. Her specialty is protecting journalists and social activists who are often the subject of social engineering and security compromises. So I really do encourage you, don't think of cyber hackers as dudes in black hoodies. Hackers show up in a lot of different formats. Today, I want to talk a little bit about, as we sort of talk about the themes of curiosity, resilience, and ambition, I find myself wanting to give a lot of advice. As an old dude, as I get a little bit older, I switch into advice-giving mode. I do want this to be a little bit more about observations and stories instead of just giving advice. But I'm probably going to default a little bit to a lot of advice giving, so I apologize in advance. Curiosity, such a core component to the work that I've seen today, and curiosity as a component of your success in the future. A super quick question, just to sort of make this a little bit more interactive. What does curiosity look like? When you see someone who's really curious, what does that show up? What does that show up as? Asking, nailed it, right on, yes, exactly. Asking questions is like the hallmark of a curious person. When I was a kid, so didn't have a ton of money. This wasn't exactly the bookcase that was available in my home, but my home was filled with a lot of books and I read so very many magazines. I just always wanted to be absorbing information and asking questions. Two questions that I want to focus on are why and what if. And I saw a ton of examples of you asking those questions as you were going through your products that you were talking about today. Who wants to talk about a quick why moment that they had, or a really quick like example of a why that they really tried to drill in on in their product, in their project? What's an example of a why? Yes, yeah, go for it, man.
Well, so you're at base, like you wanted to find the objects in his vicinity.
Yep.
Or why was he had this
Okay. Okay. So why is it so hard for him to find? Well, I think it's sort of obvious, like why he had the problem, right?
So why was he couldn't see it clearly, so you couldn't really identify where the object was.
Yep.
And so that's what we're trying to solve.
Okay, so I think that's good. So why is definitely foundational to identifying sort of the problem you're trying to solve. Like, why is the world the way it is? Why are we facing the problems we've got? Because that takes you to what the solution is. The what if is really interesting, and I saw so many examples of what if today, where you're asking, what if I tweak this one thing? As you start to identify your solution and think about the way you're going to come to a solution, what if I tweak this one thing? What if I adjust? What if is totally a hacker mindset. So again, think about what I do for my job and think about the cybersecurity world that I live in. What if I see a a username prompt, and instead of typing in my email address, I type a period and I hit enter, right? What if I experiment? What if I tweak? I saw so many examples of that today. I feel like I'm in a room of hackers, and that's exciting and a little bit scary for me. So feeling a little intense up here. I did want to share an example of, so again, think about the context of being a venture capitalist, whether Sequoia or Goodwater, where we are here right now. We're interested in people who are coming up with inventions, but then building companies around those inventions to solve those problems. And so I want to share a quick founder story. Christina Cassiopo is a software developer who founded a company called Vanta. And the why that she focused on was around cybersecurity, again, a passion of mine. She started asking the question of why is it that companies who are really well resourced with people and money were still having security breaches? And the way that she explored that, she just kept chasing this why. Why is it the case that companies still get hacked if they have all this money and all this expertise? She started pulling on this thread and realized that she could actually found a company as she started to come up with a solution around that. There's another aspect of, what's the go back button? Here we go. There's another, so that's the why question. The what if question, for me, what if manifested in a little story about a bike. So who here has a bicycle and a toolbox? Okay, everybody. Who here has fully disassembled their bicycle and put their bicycle back together again? Awesome, a couple people. How many of you had parts left over? Okay, yes, all right. Did your bike work super well after that? Okay, oh, it did, oh, awesome, all right. So those were optional leftover parts. So when I was a kid and I disassembled my bicycle and I put it back together and I had parts left over, that was the last time I ever rode that bike. It did not work any longer. So that brings us to the story of resilience, okay? As you identify problems, as you ask questions, you're gonna hit obstacles. You're gonna come up with some solution and it's gonna be imperfect and you're gonna hit a wall. And I think that hands-on effort of trying to solve those problems is so critical. And I tell you, Project Invent is just totally killing it for starting with the foundation of the hands-on expression of curiosity, identifying problems, hitting obstacles, and then figuring out how to get past them. So I think this is absolutely wonderful. I really wanted to call out specifically, again, if we think about the problems you're solving, what you've done today and over this whole school year of creating inventions, think about if you're going to sell it, and I saw a lot of examples of thinking about product market fit and pricing, think about the effort, the challenges you're going to run into, and sometimes you just have to brute force the solution. Sometimes you have to work super hard, you're going to hit an obstacle, and you're just going to have to brute force it. One of the things that I saw really cool about the hand washing solution was brute forcing the effort of getting donations. And I love the handwritten cards where you're trying to solicit money to scale your business and grow your business. And the way that you're doing that is just, like manual outreach, like working hard to get the market. I thought Uplift was really cool, the way that you were actually testing with users, actually testing with the person who's going to be consuming that product was great. I think being in the, when you run into problems, some of the things you have to do is just demonstrate grit. Who's heard of the phrase "embrace the suck"? Okay, awesome. Where does that come from? Who knows the origin of that? Military, exactly, that's right. Yeah, popularized by the Navy SEALs in the early 2000s. Embracing the suck is not just gritting your teeth and forcing your way through a problem, but finding the value in leaning into it, really challenging yourself through the challenges that you're facing. So difficulties, and we think about curiosity, we think about resilience. The difficulty is part of the point of what you are going through. It is not something to ignore or turn away from. You need to turn toward it. I think that's really going to help quite a bit. Really sorry about all the feedback here. Ambition, if we think about curiosity as being the thing that gets you curious about the problem you're trying to solve, and you think about resilience as the thing that you have to overcome as all these problems manifest. And I'll be quite honest, I saw a lot of problems here today, right? I don't think there is a single project that you've worked on that hasn't had a lot of challenges and a lot of difficulty. And so ambition is the thing that determines how large is the problem you're trying to solve? How big of a scope of a problem are you trying to solve? How big is the market that you might want to be selling your opportunity into? Again, as you're focused on inventing a solution, I saw really neat examples of people looking ahead to the overall ecosystem. How much does it cost? How big is the market? Your ambition is the thing that really will determine the impact that you have and that your invention has on the world. And I saw a couple neat examples of ambition. Talon Tinkers, jar opening for everyone, right? Huge market. Everybody's going to have a problem opening jars. Vector, a vision solution, not just for identifying a chair, but scaling that out to many other kinds of object recognition. I thought that was really cool. Uplift, starting today with laptop access. Let's think about other examples of laptop access, people in wheelchairs who might need to do things. Your ambition of thinking larger than just the single problem at hand, totally foundational. The most successful founders have that ambition. I did want to call out swoosh again. There's an aspect of ambition which is about, if you think of ambition, a lot of times it's about making money or gaining status, right? That's a very common way of thinking about ambition. But really ambition is about impact. An aspect of swoosh that I wanted to call out was your margins from the financial impact. So it's okay to make money. It's totally okay to make money. The reason it's okay to make money is it can help your business grow and allow you to hire people, find new markets, move into new geographies. A thing that I wanted to call out about swoosh was your competitors were so much more expensive, right? You guys were like, what, 175, 180 bucks? The other folks were like hundreds and hundreds of dollars, $800s of dollars. I would like to encourage you to think about the ambition of charging more for your product. Because like you had like an 8% margin or something, like it was really small. You've got some pricing maneuverability there. You've got some space to actually charge more, and that can be okay because it helps you grow your company and be more flexible and more powerful. So that's a way that ambition to make money doesn't have to necessarily be that big. Let's see here. I want to tell a quick story about founder ambition. Sorry, before I get to my bus metaphor. There's another example of founder ambition if I talk again about Christina, the founder of Vanta. Christina Cassiopo, as a youth, was really into Beanie Babies. And she really enjoyed Beanie Babies, just buying and collecting Beanie Babies. She had the ambition to realize that actually she could help other people collect Beanie Babies and make money that way. And so she started looking just beyond her own self-interest and start to think about sort of making money by helping other people do something she was passionate about. Again, to linger a bit on cybersecurity, what Vanta does is they help companies solve their cybersecurity challenges. And when they initially started the company, Christina was focused on helping companies pass Google's security requirements. In order for someone to sell a solution into Google, Google would send them a security questionnaire and would analyze their practices to decide if that product was appropriate for Google. Well, as she started to pull those threads and ask the why is this so hard? Why is it so difficult for companies to have good security practices? She realized that actually the potential opportunity was much larger than people who wanted to sell software to Google. It was anybody. All companies were having a terrible time with their security, and the actual addressable market was significantly larger. So by scaling up her ambition, by scaling up the problem she was trying to solve, Vanta is now a pretty darn successful company. I had some other notes. Hang on just a sec. Okay, so let's talk a little bit. Here's an example from, again, from my youth. I mentioned one of my fun facts was I took a city bus to get to high school. So one way to think of ambition is the difference between being a passenger on the bus and being a driver of the bus. Another way, that is actually far too small an example of ambition. That's like way too small. Take it to the next level, take one level up. What if I bought a bus? And what if I made a nice little job for myself being a bus driver? Right, you could probably do pretty well that way. What if you decided to buy a bus company and revolutionize public transportation all across the country? What if your ambition was to reduce air pollution, to get cars off the road, to make the streets safer for people, to improve the economic conditions of people who otherwise could not have cars? That's what ambition is. Ambition is not the difference between being a driver and a passenger. It's thinking huge scale about how to affect change and have massive impact in your environment and in your community. I see so many examples of that today, and I encourage you, as you think beyond just the examples of the inventions you're working on, scale your ambition as big as it can possibly be. Thank you so much to everybody today. I really appreciate Project Invent for inviting me here. I really thank all of you for the time and effort you put in. I'm so inspired being here, looking at your creativity, your resilience in the face of the challenges that you faced as you tried to manifest these projects into reality. And I really like a lot of the ambition that I've seen here today. I continue to challenge you to be as ambitious as you possibly can be. Thank you.
All right, all right. So thanks again. That was a great talk, inspirational. You're inspiring the students to put themselves in the driver's seat and envision amazing stuff. So thank you so much. We are going to turn it over to our student teams and hear a little bit more about their experiences and their journey with Project Invent this year. We've got about maybe 10 minutes. Lee will guide me wisely. And we're going to ask each team some similar questions. So as a heads up, these are the questions. Number one, what was a significant challenge you experienced while designing your product? And number two, what helped you remain resilient, or what motivated you when you experienced challenges? So this is meant to be brief and informal. You don't need to hold forth, just a couple of sentences will be great. When I call your team name, you can step up to the front and answer those questions. So first up, we have Team Vector. So as you're walking up, I'll repeat the questions one more time. So come on down, Team Vector. We want to hear more about your Project Invent experience. So what significant challenges did you experience while designing your product? And what helped you remain resilient, or what motivated you when you experienced a challenge?
So I'll talk from a software perspective. One of the huge challenges we faced was having the program start on startup of the Raspberry Pi. And so that was a huge block for us, as we had the program, but it would be hard. We would have to use a monitor to turn on the Raspberry Pi, connect it, and then start the program. And we kind of kept at it. And after 2 weeks to 3 weeks, we learned that you could do it through a bash RC script. It was going to one of the higher up files in the Linux subsystem and then adding our program into there. So that was a huge learning moment for us from a software perspective.
From a hardware perspective, we had to work to include all the parts we hoped to include, because at some points our device would heat up after over excessive parts being included. And I think that was just the biggest aspect for hardware, was trying to fit all the components we wanted in our device to work and function properly. For the second question, which was why did we stay resilient? So as of yesterday night during a meeting, 6% of all Americans over the age of 12 are visually impaired in some form. That's 14 million of the United States citizens or people in the United States. Seeing that and the impact that our hat has, just a hat with a camera on it and some code, can affect the lives of 14 million people all over the US. And seeing that we're not only just affecting a man that we're interviewing like every day, our community partner, but we can affect so many lives just by powering through and brute forcing, like you just said, through all the problems we face to create our solution and make it the best we can be, kind of kept us resilient throughout the whole project.
Next, we have Uplift. So just to repeat the questions, we want to hear about a significant challenge you experienced while designing your product and what helped you remain resilient or what motivated you when you experienced a challenge.
All right, so one of the big challenges when we were making our device was getting the stepper motors working. The entire time we were trying to, throughout the year, we kept like changing one part or another of the system. We rewired it, we redid the code, we used different batteries, different voltages. And in the end, it turned out to just be that we had wired the stepper motor wrong, or the wire we had got was like switched and for a different type of stepper motor. But we did get it working in the end. And one thing that helped us really stay resilient was the passion of trying to finish the product and wanting to finish the product because we were working so hard on it, and because we like cared so much about trying to get something we were passionate about finished and working well.
Yeah, totally. I don't think it can be understated how much trouble we actually have with the stepper motor. Like literally we spent a full probably month, maybe 2 months, month and a half working on just getting it working, and it just wouldn't for the longest time. But we tried different things. We eventually figured it out, and that was like a super satisfying. And in terms of, I kind of want to connect to the second question, which is about motivation. That sort of satisfaction of finally getting that one piece working really helped us be driven to the next thing, the next big thing we had to do. Another thing that motivated, I feel like all of us, was definitely our community partner. Seeing his reaction to what we were doing, seeing him feel like impacted, that we were really making a difference, really helped us want to keep going and really strive to be as best as we could be and help him as many ways as possible. So yeah.
Amazing answers. I kind of want to like take these students and make them be my students. And next we have Team X Wheels. So come on down. It's a great time to repeat the questions. What was a significant challenge you experienced and what helped you remain resilient, or what motivated you?
On the software side, one significant challenge we had was more of a circuit problem. Originally, we had a huge setup with transistors and resistors. We didn't have a motor chip back then. And we were trying to figure out why isn't this moving the other way? And we we're trying to figure out a bunch of different, more hardware solutions we could find to this issue of getting the slider to move backwards and bring the platform backwards without having to buy anything new, since we wanted to keep it as low tech as possible. But in the end, what kind of really motivated us to continue, what really helped us stay resilient, was when we had one of our first meetings to show a demo to our community partner. Even though it was super low tech, there's barely any electronics or electricity running through it, he was still really happy to see what we had at that point. And he really encouraged us to continue through with this project and continue to take it to the next level.
Yeah, so as Ruchi said, one of the big things that motivated us was Craig, and working with him. He was super energetic the entire time, and he really gave us that energy and allowed us to keep working through our problems. And one of the main problems from like a mechanical standpoint of our device was that we were able to extend out our platform, but the hard part was retracting that. And we spent like weeks thinking about it. And even after we came up with a solution of a two-way slider, we were still debating if they're under like mechanical solutions, like using a rack and pinion or a lead screw. And yeah, there are just so many ways to tackle these problems that we've had to think about it. And it's just a big challenge in the development process.
And next we have the Talent Tinkers. Come on down. Oh, there you are. Remember the question?
Oh, yes. Okay, so I would say we had two major issues throughout our project.
And one of them was trying just to create a functional and working prototype, because we come from the Central Valley, and I guess it's sort of hard to get the resources that we need and get the funding that we need to be able to make like working prototypes. So we use cardboard and we use wood, but I mean, overall, we try our best and we try to work because the goal is to make an impact in the world. And besides resources and material issues, another problem, I guess, was, or a challenge, not issue or problem, but we, again, where we live, it's hard because our community partner was far away from us. So even though we're able to talk through Zoom and everything, I guess today was the first time we actually got to meet with her. So not being able to communicate in person was hard.
For the second question being, what was our motivation? Our product wasn't just isolated towards our community partner. It was adaptable for a wide variety of audiences, from small little children having to opening jars to elderly adults who suffer from disabilities as in arthritis and struggle with those problems as well. Like every single one of us today, I know for a fact, has struggled with opening a jar at least once in our lives. And even today, when we were presenting to the individuals in this room, just hearing their comments and feedback about how they could use the product as well was really motivating.
And next we have Grab a Cane, Team Grab a Cane.
So one of our main challenges was figuring out the placement of the DC motor and also making the claw aspect of our device work. So in the beginning, our idea was to use a DC motor to control the claw. However, this did not really work out that well because of the placement of the DC motor and our circuit. So we did go through multiple iterations to fix this design. And in the end, we ended up creating a different claw mechanism and also laser cut different parts for the claw so that it's able to grab onto a variety of objects. So that's how we faced that problem.
We definitely had to be resilient on those problems. But what kept us really going was that we do science fairs as well. And generally those are more of, you think of anything and it's anything in the world. But this time we had a real living person that we had to accommodate, and everything was counting on them. And that really touched our hearts because it was a community that we've lived in our entire lives, but we've never really thought about what their needs were. It was always our needs, but this time we got to help them instead.
All right, next we have LHPI. So we'll hear about your challenges and what kept you motivated.
A really big challenge we went through was just the detection system for our product. We went through RFID buttons, even weight sensors at one point, which looking back is a really horrible idea. So that was like just a really difficult thing to get through. Just, we had an idea in mind, but no one could decide on how we can like really flesh it out, turn it into a physical thing that we can now keep iterating on and make it better.
Throughout the whole project, what I think really kept us resilient and motivated and working on our product was our use of teamwork resources. Like we used a Trello board, we listed out a schedule with deadlines and sprints. And I think listing down all of our tasks, having deadlines, having an express way to like notify each other and know what's going on in the project at any given moment really kept us a cohesive team that was able to push through whatever problems we had.
Okay, oh, great, thank you. All right, and Team White Salmon, come on down.
We're Team Swoosh. I'm Lily, and An original challenge that we faced was just in the brainstorming stage, trying to decide on a product that would genuinely help this community and be useful was so hard because so many of these problems we couldn't face. So we spent months and months trying to come up with an idea that we really believed in, but once we had it and it worked. But a more recent problem that we dealt with was last night. Many of you know, we came here from Washington. So we flew out yesterday morning, and doing so, you have to check your bag. And the airport is not the most gentle with prototypes. So we got back, some of our wires were out, and Maddie and I spent quite a bit of time resoldering and getting everything working again. And when it did work, it was so satisfying, but we really had to push through trying to solve that.
What really kept us, what really gave us resilience and devotion to this project was our community partner, Maritza. She was so wonderful and fun to work with and amazing to talk to. And also Lily was able to drive out and have her test our prototype, and she loved it. She was so glad that we gave farm workers a voice in our community, and she was really happy that we were trying to do that. Thank you.
Yeah, I wanted to share a couple quick stories of resilience from other founders that you may find interesting. Let's see, Eric Yuan, the founder of Zoom. Let me back up a step. Resilience is necessary in the face of many different kinds of challenges. And a lot of the challenges that you're facing for the kinds of projects you're working on at the stage that they're at in terms of identifying the problem and developing a solution, a lot of those problems and challenges are going to be technical in nature, right? The wires that came loose, the logistics around getting on an airplane. Think about sort of the other ways as you take a solution all the way to market to have something that people will want to pay money for so that you can have a successful business. A lot of those challenges are going to show up in a non-technical way, and your resilience has to manifest in a different way. Eric Yuan, the founder of Zoom, it took him 9 tries to get a visa to be able to work in the United States. He had to try 9 times to even come here to be able to work. Another example from Zoom, in the early days, the product was buggy. And customers would churn, right? Customer churn is when you get someone to at least sign in and try the product. It has some failure, people bail. Eric was so resilient, he sat down and personally emailed customers who had decided to stop using the product because he wanted to engage with them and understand directly from them what was not working. Another example would be Tony Xu from DoorDash. Early on in DoorDash's history, in around 2013, they existed as a delivery startup around Stanford. And there was some big Stanford football game, and they were completely overwhelmed. The early DoorDash was completely overwhelmed with orders and requests. The system crashed. They couldn't deliver a single thing. Total bust, like a whole day of just lost productivity. In the face of that challenge, Tony stayed up all night. First of all, refunded all the orders, like just that's the right thing to do. The second thing is he stayed up all night baking cookies and then delivered to those failed customers cookies to try to maintain goodwill, engender good feelings, and let them know that he was committed to them as customers. And this was a temporary hiccup and just one of those things that happened. Sometimes the problems that you're going to face are going to show up in kind of unexpected ways, and you just have to go all in and really be resilient when thinking about the solution for your company. So I just thought I'd share a couple of those ideas.
Thank you so much, all the teams. I think are our panelists ready? All right, come on down. I'll hand it back to Marlene.
As you can see, our panelists are back. And I want to talk to you, just let you know what the 3 awards are. So first we do have the Need Finder Award, which is given to a team that really listened to their community partner. Then there's the Moonshot Award, given to a team who identified and created a notably creative product. And then we have the Explorer Award, which is presented to a team that demonstrated a great amount of learning. Real quick before we start the awards, I just wanted to mention to all the teams, you guys did amazing. And whether you're awarded something or not, keep on pursuing with all of this and follow it through. If it's in your heart, you keep on going, okay? Don't lose the passion that you've developed for this, that we've all heard about. Okay, so teams. So for panelists, when you present, could you say what the award is? And then and the team name, and teams, when you hear your name called, then please come forward to accept the award, and then you'll return, and then we'll do the next one, okay?
There we go. All right. So thanks, everyone. And again, just to reiterate, everyone did such a great job. You guys are going above and beyond where I think many of us were at your age, exploring, innovating, and really coming up with problems. There's so many ways to do that. And so we just commend each of you for taking that on. So the first award we will present is the Explorer Award. So prioritize learning, really getting to know not just the needs of the customer, but really the market landscape, like the industry as a whole, and really felt like you digged into the learning of it all and really teaching yourself and exploring different options and really thinking through what solution was best. So some teams that, is it okay to mention others that were in the finals? Okay. So ones that were considered, Vector was considered, as well as Talent Twister. Both of those we thought really explored all of the needs and potential solutions, but the award has gone for Explorer Award to Swoosh. Cool. Great job. Fantastic. Great. Okay. Next award we'll talk about is the Need Finder Award. So this, again, specifically really listening to the customer need or the community partner need in this case, really listening to what their needs are, but then really iterating throughout the process based on those needs. So ones that were considered for Need Finder, Swoosh was also considered. Box of Bits, really listening to those teachers, did a really great job there. The award is going for Need Finder to Uplift. Woo! Cool. We thought you guys did a really great job listening to your community partner and really thinking through all the different aspects there. Cool. And then last but not least, the last award, the Moonshot Award. So this team really came up with a novel or impactful idea, really creative, really innovative. Some teams that were considered here, X Wheels, super ambitious what you guys were working on, as well as the Cane, forget the full name of the company, but the Cane project, that was super innovative, like just so many things thought through and really ambitious. But we decided on this team just because of everything they thought through, the technical capabilities of it. So Moonshot Award goes to Vector. Cool. And that's it. If any of the teams want to talk to any of us about feedback, we're happy to discuss. But thank you so much for letting Goodwater be a part of this, and us as judges had a really fun time. Y'all are awesome. So keep going. Thanks.
All right, thank you so much. Congratulations to the teams that were recognized. This concludes Demo Day. Congratulations again, and a huge thank you to all the panelists. You want to say something? And
Sorry, I'm going to jump into from Project Invent. We just want to say thank you, teams, so much for coming and joining our demo day today. You are all so incredible. I was watching our audience just light up listening to the incredible things you were sharing and the problems you're tackling, how curious you are. Our judges were so enthusiastically filling out their notes and deliberating. So just a huge thank you. And Goodwater, we just want to say Project Invent is a huge fan of you guys. And we are so very thankful for you guys extending your space, your talent, and just your resources to Project Invent today. And a shout out to Zell and Early Warnings. They are a sponsor for our Future Fest coming up in June, which you'll get to know more about. A huge Project Invent activity where we'll be bringing out teams from across the nation. And if you're local, we want you there to come check it out. So we'll be sharing more. Thank you again from Project Invent. And then teams, if y'all want to find a place where you're interested in meeting up for lunch, you're welcome to do that as well. It's just an added option. Thank you, guys. Awardees, if you received an award, can you come up to the front for a photo? Let's start with Vector. Team Vector up to the front.
Maybe we just need